progressive conservative establishment in Alberta is working overtime to make sure that an actual conservative like Jason Kenney doesn't become leader of their party by handing him $5,000 in fines for campaign infractions and stripping him of all the delegates he won at an Edmonton delegate selection meeting. Now, unlike the Wild Rose Party with their democratic one-member, one-vote means of selecting leaders, the PCs have a delegate selection system that makes it harder for outsiders like Kenney to take over the party and easier for establishment candidates to win and maintain the status quo. An outsider like Kenney has to basically take over the party one riding at a time, and so far it looks like Kenney has been doing just that, winning the overwhelming majority of delegates at the first few delegate selection meetings. And the PC establishment, they're scared. They thought their leadership rules could protect them from a real conservative winning the leadership of their party. Their roadblocks, they just aren't working anymore, so now they're using the vague language in their own leadership rules to block Jason Kenney from winning. Jason Kenney has just been fined $5,000 for hosting a hospitality suite in the same building, a golf course country club, where the delegate selection meeting for the riding of Edmonton-Ellerslie was being held. After a week-long pseudo-investigation, the party has determined that when their rules say at no time is a nominated candidate allowed to be in or near the delegate selection room, that includes being in the same golf course complex. Now here's the problem. Jason Kenney wasn't in any room, and near is not a distance. It's subjective. It's not a measurement, and near can mean different things to different people. What exactly is the distance for near? What's the number? 100 meters? 200 meters? And according to the Jason Kenney campaign, they say they asked for clarification of the rules at least twice, and they didn't receive any, because of course they didn't. A pessimist like me would suggest that the PCs aren't going to firm up their rules so that they're clear enough to follow, because they need these rules to be subjective and fuzzy enough to put up barriers to Jason Kenney winning the leadership of their party. Now, why do I think that? Well, because based on a tweet by the president of the PC party, Catherine O'Neill, you can see that this was all just a foregone conclusion from the very beginning. On the night of the delegate selection meeting in Ellerslie, she tweeted out, "There was a DSM infraction at tonight's meeting in Edmonton-Ellerslie. A complaint has been filed with the PCAA Chief Returning Officer for further action." Oh, so the party president's mind was already made up. That very night, there was an infraction, she says. Kenney was guilty as charged, even though the PC party establishment pretended to be investigating the alleged breach of the delegate selection rules. They already had their minds made up. On the very night it happened, they'd already decided. Jason Kenney had broken their subjective rules, and the rest of their fake investigation was just theater for the masses, an attempt to seem fair to us outsiders. But you know what really isn't fair? The PCs, besides levying a $5,000 fine at the Kenney campaign, well, they've stripped him of all the delegates he won that night, and it wasn't even close. Jason Kenney won 15 of the 15 delegates in Ellerslie, and he ended up being stripped of them all. Now the delegates have to be reselected. The PC establishment is using their loosey-goosey rules to get themselves a do-over. Talk about entitlement. The PC establishment would rather keep their progressives in control of their party and the socialists in control of the province than do what's right for Alberta and move the conservative movement closer together. That says a lot about their priorities. These are just the same old PCs. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid. For a conservative view of Alberta politics that you can't get anywhere else, click the link below to subscribe today.